The second part was turning from philanthropist to scholar, being scholar, saying, okay, now, I'm going to produce my scholarship. I know enough, I am an analytical person, I'm scientifically trained, I have articulation skills, I'm going to put it out there. I feel that Indians are very smart people, but most of them are either not interested in doing this, or if they're interested, it's a part-time hobby. But if successful Indians in any intellectual field that you are in, most of you are in, if you were to do this full time, which means you live and sleep and dream this and your whole life is of this, if you really started doing this, you'll become one of the best. There's no opponent who could match you, because we know this field, we also are doing the sadhana. So when I'm doing it, there are 3 or 4 different things coming together in a piece of work I'm doing. One is my own meditation, my own sadhana, and the Shastra I'm reading, the text, our traditional text, because I've read a huge amount of our traditional texts, not only Vedanta, but also Buddhism, and within Buddhism, a couple of different kinds, and then Sri Aurobindo, and then Kashmir Shaivism. So I read quite a lot of stuff from our tradition, and the Western knockouts, the Western, people who claim to have developed these sort of ideas, but I can recognize that it's probably come from our sources. So I've read a whole lot of those also. And then Guru inspiring, Guru giving you the encouragement. So my Guru in the 90s left the body in the early 2000s, and then I would start going to Swami Dayananda Saraswati, and he would always make me continue work. He said, do this, it's so important for you, And once or twice I went to him and everybody was against me, all sort of people. And he would say that after carefully meditating, after carefully thinking, he would come to me and say, they can do nothing to you. You just keep fighting. And when they do this to you, hit back 10 times more. So that's what kept me going. Because I felt that, I got this whole force behind me, I got to do this. So it's partly learning, intellectual study, meditation, partly the Guru pushing you. But then a large part of it has to do with putting out provocations in front of the other side, taking them on. Because if you haven't faced the other side, if you've just written an article and you have come up with some theory and you present it in a nice friendly group, that's not enough. You got to go to where they are discussing. Very difficult to get in the first place. Get in there, face them and present it and see what comes back. All kind of arrows and bullets come back. You got to be able to face all that. And that will toughen you, and that's how the real Kshatriyata is made. So, and this is I never talk about the personal sacrifice, but when you look at how the family goes through this, when I started this, my children were aged 13 and 10, not settled. My wife doesn't work. So it's a very risky thing. And a lot of people say, why are you doing this? What do you get out of this? My family, my relatives, my mother, brother, all these people, my friends from school, my friends from college, my friends from school and college still don't know why I'm doing all this, because it's a sort of elite secular kind of a thing. And when I go back, we have nice gatherings in some important club and all that, but they can't figure out what happened to this fellow. And when I've gone into this, many friends came and felt sorry for me. One fellow said, I know I have a good psychiatrist friend, and this happens to. This is a very common midlife crisis a lot of people have. But I'll tell you good news that you will be okay. This sort of thing, a lot of people telling me. So this is something that it comes from the grace of the Guru. This transformation, this comes only like that. This you cannot just intellectually kind of develop this, because then you run out of it. If it's intellectual construction, it could also be disrupted and deconstructed. But if it's deeper than that, if it's a consciousness transformation, then it's your yagna. And then whatever comes, if somebody hits you, that's also part of the yagna. You just don't run away. So what we started doing now is I started developing books, several books. Many ways of engaging people, using these books as a sort of a masala, as an ammunition. What I learned is that there is a equilibrium. There's a state of equilibrium in the Hindu community. There's a state of equilibrium in the academic community. There's a state of equilibrium politically. So in any group, there's a intellectual equilibrium, which means that people have adjusted to something. And if you want to create a better equilibrium, you have to disrupt the current equilibrium. You have to be doing this work of disrupting the equilibrium, creating disequilibrium, chaos. And it's not fun and it's not popular. Because the popular thing is to just keep promoting the current equilibrium. Sab theek hai, everything is good, we're all brothers, have all love and God, sameness and all these kind of things. Because there's no, you're not challenging anybody. And so everybody likes you. You can be very popular, you can get a lot of votes and get elected into various offices, positions here and there. But if you are disrupting the status quo, people who are people, the reason it's a status quo is because the forces at work are invested in it. It's a status quo because the important people are invested in keeping that status quo. So when you are disrupting the status quo, they're also going to come after you because they're not just going to give up easily. So, but the disruption of the status quo is a creative opportunity. That is the creative opportunity. That is the quantum mind, because there is the uncertainty and it could go either way. And that is the Hindu quantum mind, to be able to do this. And this comes in states of meditation. This comes in states of meditation when there is a kind of consciousness where it is not a stable world, but concrete things out there. There is a kind of a disruption of all that, and things are in play. There are a lot of moving parts, and you want to enjoy that. That's what my guru taught, that when you have that, don't think it's a problem and you quickly have to grasp something because then you're out of it. That's the creative opportunity. You got to let it go, let it happen. And the longer it happens, the more creative things will come up. And so then the creative play of possibilities eventually works out into a new equilibrium. A new stable thing develops. So this kind of process of disrupting the old equilibrium, creating new equilibriums, is something I've enjoyed doing. And typically, I find that many times, many of our own Hindu leaders and different important people are not happy with what I'm doing, because they're also aligned in the equilibrium. In some way, they're aligned in the equilibrium. Or if they are uncomfortable about it, they just don't like somebody else coming, and they're made to look bad. So I'll give you a recent example. We disrupted a major school of Sanskrit studies, Shastra studies in the West, which has hundreds of followers in India. They've taken some of the best Sanskrit scholars and put them on their payroll. They bring them to the US once in a while. These guys are very loyal to them. So it's not only some folks in the Ivy Leagues. There's a lot of Indians involved in this. Some are very modern, postmodern, yuppie type Indians, but some are very traditional Pandits that they've brought on board. So I found that this disruption of mine was very unpopular with a lot of our own people. I went to some guru movements. The big disruption at the Shringeri Mutt, some of you probably know about it. Luckily, His Holiness understood exactly what I was doing and supported it. And he canned the whole project, but none of his other guys were happy with my disruption because they had a very cushy MOU with Columbia University. They were on this advisory board. They were looked after. So basically what happens is there is a mediocrity in the middle management. The top guy, if you can get to him, bypass the chokidars and get to him. Generally, the top guy is very intelligent and very, really a smart person. And if you can reach him, you can tell him very directly, honest, straight talk, chances are that he'll resonate with you. And that's why I was lucky that I was able to sneak around all these people, these bodyguards, and get to the top person in the Shringeri Mutt. And that project got cancelled. Even though so many powerful people were invested in it, I was one guy against it, and all of them very angry at me and accusing me and whatnot and whatnot. I mean, I don't want to get into the details because you've probably heard it or you can look it up, what I'm talking about. So this kind of disruption of the status quo is not only against sort of the Western Academy and Christians and all of Marxists, but our own people are invested in mediocrity. That's sad, but that is how it is. The school textbooks coverage of sociology is atrocious. And I'm doing a series on critique of sociology books in India. They've listed 22 important social thinkers. Not one is an Indian. Not one. All kind of names that you've never heard of. And there's such a lot of pride that we know them, we know all their lives, we know what they wrote. It's sort of like we're in awe, and we are evaluating our society according to their lens. Same with political thought. Some lip service to Kautilya here and there, lip service. But the primary political thought is from elsewhere. So if you start looking at, it's not only NCERT history books. Everybody says, NCERT should change their history books. I'm saying, okay, history books is one part of it, but they also got many other curriculums. Many other. And this is also, when you look at the way the people, the exams that people have to pass to get into IAS or IFS, you go and look at the Foreign Service Institute in Delhi. There's a Foreign Service Institute in Delhi, not that far from my mother's place, so I've been and given lectures a couple of times. They are training the diplomats. They're training the new diplomats how to represent your country, and then every so many years, experienced diplomat comes back for more training. The kind of curriculum, I mean, if it's about the policy on Kashmir and nuclear and all that, that's okay. Those are all nice things. But they also have to give them a good dose of culture and civilization, and it's all mixed up. So this is this kind of a disruptiveness is pretty risky also. The academic disruption is not enough unless we can produce our own knowledge to substitute. To disrupt is one thing, but we have to be able to say, okay, this is our chronology that we are putting up, or this is our social thought. So I'm developing, besides the critique on sociology, I'm developing a Indian social theory. That's one of the things I'm working on, is an Indian social theory, looking at many sources and proposing an Indian social theory which can compete against all these others and actually not only be good for India, but be on the world stage, be on the table for people around the world to consider these kind of social thoughts that we have. So rather than just being defensive and saying, why are you criticizing this and caste and all that, we can also take the offensive. We have many resources in this area where we can put ideas that are very original. Then we have to take this knowledge and train other people, other young people, train them how to make it their knowledge, how to download it, and then build an institution. So I started this kind of a process. So I went through philanthropist to troublemaker label. Then non-ignorable. Okay, we don't like him, but you can't ignore him either. I don't mind that. I think that's a good state of affairs for me. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here and also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified. To donate, please click this button.